Thank you so much for coming out to tonight's event. Our topic tonight is how to qualify and negotiate with sellers. And we're really excited about this topic. And we'll be recording this and then posting on Facebook later for those who could not make it today. Okay, so my name is Jan Lam. I'm your host tonight. Founder of Fortune Homes, been in business for about 12 years, and been growing in different areas with real estate development, with education, with cabinetry, with construction, and a lot of other things as well. So really excited about tonight's topic, okay? So first slide. When you talk to sellers, you first got to maintain a pipeline. Otherwise, you're going to waste a lot of time. You got to pre-qualify them to see if they're interested in selling or not. So in order to maintain a pipeline, you got to target the prospect to see who's willing to sell. Those prospects turn into leads and then qualified leads. Qualifying means they're wanting to sell, not because they want to talk to you. And it leads to an opportunity then also to a customer, okay? So qualifying leads, things that we look for a seller is that we're looking for people who have urgency, strong cash needs, and an inability to update their home. All right, all these things here in combination leads to what we call a motivated seller. All right, so what causes motivations for selling a home? There's a number of things. I mean, life circumstances, okay? We hear these things on the news. We hear things in life. We hear things from our friends. You got divorce, you got death, you got health issues, you got cash problems, job relocation. Maybe the house is absentee now because there is a rental property and later a tenant left and no longer to rent it out. Maybe they're stressed out about something in life. We don't know. Or they have deferred maintenance. They have long overdue maintenance for the HVAC, the roof, the windows, the landscaping. They haven't done anything just because they haven't had time or the resources to do so, okay? So definitely want to go ahead and take those into considerations, because once you know what their motivation is, you can negotiate much better, okay? So in qualifying, there are signs of unmotivation or denial. I have never spoken to a person who is ready to sell today. They're just fishing around, right? But they're still in denial, all right? Denial meaning that they're hoping to get much more for the house than it's really worth. People always want more for the house than it's really worth, okay? So maybe they're talking to you and they say, well, I'm trying to get top dollar for my house. That's a sign of unmotivation or denial. Or the seller's thinking about renovating the home themselves. They say, hey, I'm thinking about changing this cabinet, changing this toilet, painting this one wall here, and I'm going to sell for top dollar, all right? So they're thinking about renovating the house themselves, whether it be a do-it-yourself or hiring a contractor and managing themselves. They're still in denial. They're not really motivated, okay? Or they're telling you, like, well, I don't really need to sell next month. I don't really need to sell next week. I can wait. I'm looking to sell, but not anytime soon. So that's signs of unmotivation, and those are the people we don't want to waste our time with. You know, we'll log their entry, we'll take their information, but we just know there's not going to be a deal anytime soon. Okay? So a motivated seller, why would they want to work with us? We have a competitive edge and a value proposition that no one else can offer. All right? That is that we will buy the property as is, where it is, buy for cash, no contingencies, so no appraisals, no home inspections, and no financing contingencies. It's going to be a fast closing, all right, and then no commission. So for the agents in the room, I'm sorry, you get no commission, okay? All right. So when you're negotiating, when you're talking to somebody, what do people really want? You know, why would they want to continue a conversation with you? Well, first, they gotta know you, they gotta like you, and they gotta trust you. If they don't know you, they don't like you, you're not a likable person, and they can't eventually trust you, they're not going to do business with you, right? So just think, when you guys go to a store, how many here have ever gone to a store and not thinking about buying anything, but you met someone so likable, so trustable that you end up buying something you didn't need, right? Or likewise, you go in knowing you need something, you need a gallon of milk, but then you run across a cashier that's just so irritating, or with no customer service, you decide to leave the milk there and not buy it, right? So that's just human nature. You know, they gotta know you, they gotta like you, they gotta trust you, because if that happens, everyone's happy, and that happiness builds upon each other, and they will be willing to work with you even though the price may be less than other people who are offering, okay? So in negotiating, all right, you got a target purchase price. Once you do your analysis, you're going to determine how much the house is worth after it's repaired, how much it's going to cost to repair it, and then you do your math and then determine how much you're going to need to buy the house for you to make a decent profit, okay? So in negotiating, usually you see a seller's price is up here and your price is down here. I've never seen it reversed. It's always been like that. People want more than what it's worth, and your price is way down here because you need to make a profit. So most of the time, when you make your first offer, it won't be accepted. Or if they say, well, I'm asking for a certain price, you'll never give it to them. All right? But eventually, what ends up happening is this. Somewhere along the way, you work it out, you agree on a price somewhere in between those two numbers. Could be more towards your number, could be more towards their number, depends on how your analysis grows. Okay? All right, and then you got to understand how to negotiate effectively. You got to understand how they value the property. All right, are they basing it on tax assessed value? Are they basing it on neighborhood comps? Maybe a neighbor sold their house similar kind last year. All right, maybe they just calculated, well, I bought the house for $100,000. I spent $20,000 on the roof and the kitchen and the HVAC, so I should get $120,000 for it. All right, so you got to think of their logic. What is it that they use to value the property, and then you can base that from there. All right, and then regardless of what they say, now you know where they're thinking. You yourself have your own thinking that you have to provide strong justification for your offer position, including pictures, contractor estimates, examples of other properties purchased at a discount if they're available, all right? Re-emphasizing your value proposition that your offer is a win-win for everybody because they don't have to go through the hassle or headache of going through a traditional sale with home inspections and looking for a buyer with no certainty. Your offer is solid now, and you can close in 2 weeks, okay? And most of all, be patient. If you're not patient with negotiating, you're probably going to lose the deal, okay? So be patient. So now, that's the theory. For those who've been in school recently or have gone to school at different certifications, there's always the theory and there's always the example. So let's go through some examples, my favorite part. Here's a house in Woodbridge, all right? And I want to share this example, and there's a lesson for each of these examples, okay? So this situation here, the seller is a burnt-out landlord, and that person lives locally in Woodbridge. They're using Zillow and other online tools to guess the value. They do not want to hire an agent. They do not want to pay 6%, and they are a do-it-yourself person. He purchased the house in 1987 for $67,000. Tax assessed value at the time we looked at this in 2012 was $102,000. Renovation estimate, $25,000, and then $150,000 ARV. Based on these numbers here, what should be an appropriate offer they should give for this deal? Now, I'll give you guys 15 seconds to think about it. All right? And so just think about the numbers here. How much would you offer to make this deal worth it for you guys? All right? So with that, tax assessed value and renovation and ARV, how much would you offer? And takers? 80,000? 65? 52, very nice odd number. All right, I like that. All right, because it was close. $57,000. All right, so here's the lesson. We bought this in 2011. He bought it in 1987. We paid less than what he paid for in 1987. So don't let the years fool you. You gotta be able to take a look at the value. Our ARV estimate was 150,000. We sold for 144 because the person who bought it was a cash buyer and did not need a mortgage. Was able to close quicker, so that's why we're able to give a little discount for that. Okay? All right, so here's the lesson for negotiating. It does not matter when the seller purchased the property or for how much. What matters is the current market and condition of the property and what number works for you. You can't make it work for them if it doesn't work for you. All right, so that's the lesson. Next one, here's an example in Stafford, Virginia. All right, here's a situation. Seller lives locally, currently underwater. It's a contractor. The person who owns it is also a contractor. He used the property as storage. So I'm not sure if you can see the pictures here, but he's got junk, construction junk everywhere across the property on a 1-acre lot. His asking price was $285,000. All right. The BPO came in, which is a broker's price opinion, came in at $210,000, and the bank wanted this amount. The tax assessor was $237,000. Renovation was $70,000. ARV was $325,000. Likewise, how much will you offer for this property? And I'll give you guys 15 seconds. All right? So just think, mortgage balance is $320,000. It's underwater, right? Their asking price is $285,000. Bank says they want $210,000. All right? Renovation is $70,000. What would your offer be to make sense for you?
Yeah, you just go just a little under what the bank wants, 200.
200? 190? 175? 205? Do I have anyone less? It's opposite of an auction, right? Can you guys imagine this? All right. See, when it comes to a short sale, this is a short sale, by the way. We are relentless and merciless against the bank because we can care less about the bank, right? It's not a person, a mom and pop person. The bank never loses money anyways, like a monopoly. They never lose money. They always stay in business, okay? So here's the short sale approval letter. They approve a payoff of $128,000, which equals a purchase price of $142 after commissions and closing costs are paid for. Great deal? We were very aggressive. Just remember, the mortgage was $300 and some thousand. So this is less than 50% of the mortgage balance. So be merciless with the bank. Yes?
Did you have somebody specialize in a short sale for you, like a short sale?
For this particular deal, yes. It all depends on how it's set up. This one, in our network, it was already with a short sale negotiator, and they already had the process moving, so we stuck with them. A lot of times, if we're starting from scratch, we'll have our own person doing that. Okay? So great question. All right, so current mortgage, lesson for negotiating. Current mortgage balance does not matter. If the property is underwater, you do not have to worry about the bank. Numbers should be justified based on market and physical condition of the property. There is mold, there is pet feces, there's construction debris everywhere, there's tires and wheels and metal and junk all over the yard, which would probably take like $10,000 just to clean up the whole place in the exterior of the actual property, okay? Here's another one, all right? This is in Gorman Street, all right, in Southeast DC. This is negotiated back in 2018. Deceased owners transfer to the children who do not live locally. In DC, probate takes about 3 years. So this house has been vacant for about 3 years. So just imagine what's going on in that house after being vacant for 3 years. Rodents, pests, change of elements, possible leaks. No one went on to check on it. Break-ins, vandalisms, whatever, right? So a lot of things can happen. The house is already free and clear, and there's a lot of clutter inside the house. Previous owners were hoarders, and there are tons of infested rodents, okay? Cockroaches, rats, you name it, they had it, okay? And they didn't even pay rent. We couldn't evict them until we got a pesticide, okay? Sellers thinking they did not have the resources or time to care for the house and constantly paying for taxes and insurance. They want $275,000. Tax assessed value $200,000, renovation $80,000, ARV $390,000. How much would you guys offer for this particular deal based on these numbers? ARV at $390,000. All right? What do you guys think? 200? 190? I know what it is. It's like the price is right. You want to go under them. Maybe you do $1, right? Is the price right? 280. Or like 150, 201,000, right? But no, look at this. $150,000, what we agreed to.
So how are you calculating these? Because I was doing 70% of the ARV minus the...
That's their formula.
Yeah.
But based on negotiators, our topic tonight is negotiating, right? Not analysis. So our negotiating tactic is based on how motivated the seller is. If they're motivated they are, the more aggressive we go. The faster you want to close, the more aggressive we are. Okay? Yes?
So there's no way that they could have listed that on MLS because there's no way like conventional financing could have.
So that's a great question. This was actually with an agent, but they came to us as a pocket listing, and it was not published on the internet. They wanted someone who can close, and they didn't want to mess around with multiple offers. They didn't want to deal with that. They just wanted something who can close in 2 weeks, and they were in a hurry to close. Okay? So building relationships with agents who can work with you as pocket listings is key, and you got to build confidence with them. Otherwise, they'll just put it on the market and hope for the best, right? We want them to come to us directly and not put it. And after we ratified, they did put it on the MLS with 0 days on market because they have to legally. Okay? All right? Lessons for negotiating. It's important to see where the seller is thinking and how they produce their asking price. In this case, their analysis was flawed and easily refuted with evidence of the contrary. All I had to do was take pictures of the cockroaches and the rodents and the feces and the mold and the dirty underwear hanging above the kitchen sink. They didn't know it was there. Seriously, they have not been there in 3 years. I took pictures there. I don't know why. I walk in. I couldn't walk over all this junk here. Walk into the kitchen, and the first thing I see is a big old underwear on a hanger above the kitchen sink. Don't know whose underwear it is, but I took a picture of it. And it's like, oh my gosh. So that's why they say, oh, they felt sorry for me when they hadn't agreed for the price, right? I didn't know where the underwear has been, but it was just hanging right there. All right. They wanted to buy who with absolute certainty would close in 2 weeks, and they found us. Okay. This is an example of from one of our students, okay? This is also in Woodbridge, Virginia. So one of our students, this is not our deal, that was negotiated. This was negotiated back in 2019, right before COVID. Deceased owners was transferred to the daughter who lived in the house. So in Virginia, the probate process happens a lot faster than DC, all right? It only takes several months depending on the county, right? But, they transferred pretty quickly. The house was free and clear. The daughter lived there for 3 years, all right, after the mom died, but didn't realize she had to pay taxes on the property. So Prince William County in their patience said, well, if you don't pay the bill, we will do a county tax sale, and they'll lose everything. So when they got that notice, they realized if they don't sell the property and pay off the taxes, they will lose all the equity of the house. So very motivated. If they don't close in 2 weeks before the tax sale date, they lose everything, okay? So our student found a deal and assessed the deal with $281,000 at the tax assessed value, $85,000 renovation, ARV was $360,000. Based on this right here, what should the student offer? $18,000. $18,000 on 3 years of past due taxes for Prince William County, including late fees. $36,000. Oh, you learned a lesson from the last one. You did that one out? Okay. She's learning. She's seeing a trend here. $100,000. Can you imagine $100,000 in Woodbridge for a Rambler with a basement in Woodbridge? Right by Potomac Mills. $100,000. He wholesaled it. He got $65,000. There's a little foreshadowing for next month, okay? So you can't see this very well, but here's, all right, there's water dripping here. All right, so what happened here is that the daughter's boyfriend, whoever, whatever reason, they left this toilet running, and then the water went down into the basement. And that was our negotiating position to get such a great deal. And they, of course, they need to close quickly, otherwise they lose all of everything. All right? So in the end, they got about $80,000 in the bank after tax liens are paid for. Okay? So, lessons for negotiating. The more motivated the seller, the more aggressive your offer should be. You should always be in a position where the sellers need you more than where they need you more than you need them. And that's how you get the best deals. Okay? All right. Here's another one done by another student. This is in Millersville, Maryland. This was done in 2021. Getting more recent now, right? So that way no one can complain. These deals are too old. 2021. 3 siblings inherited the property. They're all Europeans. All right, I think from Iceland. And 2 of them were local. 1 was in Iceland. They rented it out to their niece, who rarely paid rent. Such goes to family, right? All right. So they were very frustrated with this niece. The niece finally left. The property was deteriorated while she was living in there. Finally moved on, wanted to sell ASAP. So the seller's thinking is that they did not want to pay a 6% commission. They did not want a realtor to bring in buyers to do a home inspection because they had a relationship with the neighbors, and they didn't want the neighbors to come and see the house all messed up and be embarrassed for their parents who passed away, right? So there's an embarrassment factor that's why they didn't want to go on the market. So think psychologically, whatever reasons are for not putting on the market is a reason we'll use to help service that deal for that person and service it the way they want to, okay? 2020 tax assessed value is $412,000, 5-bedroom, 2.5 bath. Renovation is $80,000. ARV is $650,000. Based on these numbers, how much would you offer as a student, as a Fortune Home student? $275,000. He's getting good. Anyone else? $275,000, not $276,000. $250,000. Actually, you guys got a little too aggressive. You should train my student here, all right? But no, he got it for $315,000. $315,000, all right? $315,000, and he is now another foreshadowing next month, okay? He wholesaled it for $105,000. It's crazy, right? All right, so lesson for negotiating. Building a strong relationship is key, and fortune is in the follow-up. This seller spoke to us, our team, in September 2020, but was not ready to sell yet because of the situation with the niece. But because of a strong follow-up system and a relationship being built along the way to where they did not want to work with anyone else but us. So we eventually followed up, stayed in touch, and then around December of 2020 is when they were ready to sell, and we were able to close it in January 2021. And the great thing about this person who headed up this sale is that she was willing to do a testimonial video. So I'm going to play this testimonial video to show you what a seller is thinking. So that way when you guys talk to a seller, you think of this young lady right here, okay?
Hey guys, it's Mike with the Fortune Homes team. So I'm here with Svana. You actually expressed your concern before you started working with us. You had concerns about working with cash buyers or these We Buy Houses companies.
So I had heard of and seen all kinds of signs that said We Buy Houses. And I thought, wow, wouldn't that be nice if we could just sell this house and not have to do a lot of improvements to it, not have to do all the beautifications to get it on the market. So my thought was, if we could sell this to one of those companies, We Buy Houses, or a cash buyer, that would be ideal. But how do you find a cash buyer through a real estate agent? So I did a little research and contacted you guys. I had a lot of reservations. I was very skeptical of going with one of those companies, and I called a couple of companies, not just you guys. And but you were very informative, and you put my mind at ease, and you explained the process really well. I also liked how you followed up. Because for
Great.
me, I was just calling several companies, and it really came down to who was courteous, that I enjoyed talking to, and was informative and educational.
How would you rate the overall experience in just working with me and the rest of the team?
I would rate it very high. I think you guys, I had a lot of doubt, and you always answered my questions. There was a high level of communication, however I wanted to communicate. So whether it was email, text, or phone call, you were very responsive. If I sent you an email, I got an email back. If I texted you or called you, you called me back or answered. And so that was very helpful. I also think for somebody like me that has never gone through a company like you guys, we think we're being had. Like, we're so worried that something's going to go through. We're being stupid. You should just do the traditional way. Why are you doing this? All those things are going through your head. Because we know we're doing it for a reason. So we know you need to make money, and we want to do this smoothly, which is why we contact a company like you versus a traditional real estate agent. And you were very good at putting my mind at ease and answering my questions.
You may have even answered this question, but what would you say one of the, thing that kind of wowed you, or something that stood out, and you're just like, okay, this is it, I'm going to use these guys, this is the one thing that kind of made this company legit? Is there any particular thing that happened, any maybe in a phone call, maybe in an email, just like, okay, these are the guys?
It was your offer.
No.
I was skeptical all until that point. I was expecting you guys to come lower than you did. And then the offer was pretty simple. Like, it was not a bunch of jargon and fine print. And I like that.
Just a simple question to kind of wrap things up. Would you refer us to friends, family, coworkers if they are in need of selling their house?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Great.
And guess what? She did refer somebody. Yes. So, but they weren't ready to sell yet. But she did refer somebody. She kept her word, true to her word. But you can kind of see the thinking of a motivated seller, all right, and how we work with them to where they were happy with what we offered. And the biggest thing was for her was the stress and the two other siblings she had to deal with. So we had to literally have a process with our title company to go through the embassy of the United States in Iceland for the other siblings to sign the paperwork and everything. We provided all that service, and that made her so very stress-free from that. Okay, so you gotta have a good team in place. Okay, any questions about that?
Does she know what Mike made?
No. No.
It was a 2-week term?
What, 2 week? I'm sorry.
2-week term for Mike? For his wholesale, was it 2 weeks?
2 weeks. Yes, it was the 2 weeks closing. Yep. Okay, and then the next one. This is from our Fortune Homes team market leader. So not the student. Now moving up in the world. We have different locations that do the same thing we do. This person is in the Hampton Roads area. He recently did a deal just last month in Virginia Beach, Virginia. So he has a location in the Suffolk, Virginia area, which is the Hampton Roads area, and this is a deal that he had on the contract. All right, so he negotiated last month, just a few weeks ago, January 2023. All right, very recent, inherited property. It was a referral from the investor network. So is it important to come to an investor network like this? Yes, because he got it from someone in his group. And they referred it to him, and he went ahead and looked at the deal, went to the property, assessed the damages and what needs to be done. The seller did not want to pay 6%, did not want to spend any money on repairs, and needed to close ASAP because they inherited the property. All right? Tax assessed value in 2022 was $231,000. Estimation of renovation was $75,000. ARV was $330,000. So we advertised this out last week, but we had our ARV wrong. The ARV is actually $330,000. But on the advertising, I think I put down 280, so I was off by 50 grand. But I'm glad people who looked at it did their analysis and knew what they were looking at. But based on these numbers here, how much would you offer? How much would you offer? $75,000 renovation, ARV 330, seller inherited the property, $75,000 renovation. How much would you offer me?
140.
How much?
140.
140. 140. Can anyone beat that? 160. 160?
I think 120 because he had to bill his wholesale fee into it.
140? 140? How about you, young lady? How much do you think? 600. $600. I love it. That's the best offer.
Yeah.
Master negotiator, right? Don't lose that spark, okay? All right, so here's what had happened. Here's a contract. Zoom did. You got it for $117,000. $117,000. We marketed it to our network just last week, and was supposed to have an open house last Saturday. We canceled open house because we had buyers lined up before the open house. We listed it for $145, sold it for $155. So its assignment fee is $38,000. All right? All right, so those are some examples of negotiating from 10 years ago to the most recent. And you see how the market changes along the way, and there's a different lesson for each negotiating of each deal. All right, so I want to share those examples for the purpose of those lessons there. Are there any questions about qualifying sellers and negotiating for deals? Any questions at all?
Do you have like I don't want to say formula, but like an approach to the more motivated they are, the less like how do you gauge?
Great question.
Hello.
That is a great question. Here's what I got to do. I got to find out how they're thinking first, what they're thinking. What, how much is the number that's in their mind? And most people won't tell you.
No, they won't.
They won't, all right? So you have to peel the onion one layer at a time. Get to know them better. How do they assess value? Did they look at tax assessed yet? Did they look at comps? Do they have other people they're working with? All right, those are good information to know. And you can ask them, unintrusively. And, but they won't tell you unless they trust you and like you. That's the key. So eventually you have to find some kind of commonality. Is it a man? Is it a woman? Are they old? Are they young? Are they white? Are they black? Are they Asian? All these things come into effect because then you can talk to them the way they want to be talked to where they feel like they can trust you because you understand them. I mean, aside of that, we're all adults here. We all agree that certain adults, certain things jive with them more than other things, right? Some people like football, some people don't. Some people like the Commanders, some people like the Bills, like me, right? Some people, like you're talking about food and family. Some people don't. They just want to talk about numbers and the deal. So you got to find out what kind of person they are and then approach them the way they want to be approached and then try to peel that onion one layer at a time until you get to the root of the problem to where you can make an appropriate offer. All right? The other thing is you can put an offer in the dark and then see what they say because you can go all else may fail and you can't get that onion to peel at all. So you throw out a number based on your analysis, see what they say. Do they want to counter? Do they want to accept? Do they think, what are they thinking? And then a lot of times, believe it or not, if they're the type of people who refuse to peel the onion, you throw out the offer, they may not even entertain your call anymore. That happens. But, that's the last resort. I hate to throw an offer unless that's my last resort.
Yeah.
Because I need to know what they're thinking first. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, and then especially if I know they're very analytical, if I have another example of another investor who did a deal near their neighborhood that bought at a discount where I would buy it at, I'll show that to them and justify why my offer is almost the same as this, right? So if you have that evidence, use it. And tax values, or tax records will show those sale prices more so the MLS because they're off market. Right. Okay, question, Alan?
I had a question more about as you guys are developing rapport, with the deal where the owners were nice. How did you manage communication with them so that was it through the title company to make sure that everything was done discreetly so that the end buyer, the seller, everything?
Great. So how do you make sure that they don't get scared to see when they see the assignment fee on there? Okay. So that's more of a wholesale question, but I'll entertain that, okay? You got to work with a title company who knows how to deal with that. If they ask what it is, that title company must be investor friendly enough to know how to answer that in a way that won't scare them off. Because it breaks down to not how you explain it, but how the title company explains it. So choosing the right title company will be essential in making that deal happen. Okay? And so you can't control that. The only thing you control is choosing the right title company. That's all. And I had to go through a couple of trial and errors to make sure I choose the right one, depending on where the property is and where they're licensed, and then go from there. Like this title company here in Virginia Beach, I've never used it. but my market leader has because he's on deals down there. So they're very investor friendly, know exactly what an assignment fee is and how to explain it to the seller in case that question arises. Okay, great question. Anyone else? Yes.
Question about negotiating. I'm negotiating a wholesale deal right now.
Okay.
Actually, I talked to you about this earlier, but I got a guy who has a house that he bought for $10,000 in 2010. It's in Pulaski, Virginia. And I have some end buyers interested at 35.
Okay.
So there's a good spread on it if I could get the guy on the phone. But he keeps on telling me he lives off grid in West Virginia. It's like I've got to go cut firewood for next year. I've got to get this done. And it's been really difficult to get him on the phone, but I know I can get him interested. It's like, is there a way to like?
So your last mode of communication was the phone or in person?
Yeah, he responds to text messages and sometimes phone calls when he has like cell phone service.
Okay.
But is there like a Jedi mind trick to like get him to get him on the phone?
Out there.
So,
But yeah, I mean,
so when I feel that they're not motivated, then I have to find a way to get the leverage over them. And the only way to do that is to make them feel that they need me more than I need them. So my next approach, whether it be a text or a voicemail, will be something along the lines of, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, hey, we've been trying to reach you, but if you're not interested, that's okay. Just let me know, so that way I don't waste my time, and you don't waste your time as well. Give them the back door. And then now they had to earn their way back into your circle, right? If they want to earn your way back in, now you have the upper hand. Now, next time they call you, push the red button. I love pushing the red button. Or just let it ring, pretend you're busy. Because you press the red button, it only rings one time, right? So just, and then I let it sit there. And I'll listen to the voicemail, see how motivated they are, and depending on what they say, I may let it sit for an hour. I might let it sit for a day. I might let it sit for a week, depending on how long it took for me to get a hold of them. So that way they know that I'm busy too, and they can't game with me. If they're ready to do a deal, I'm ready to, but my time is valuable too, so don't waste my time.
See, the
Yeah.
trouble with that is I have some cash buyers lined up that are interested. They've actually gone through the property and say, yeah, we'll take it. And so I'm hoping to like keep them happy and keep that real estate.
So in that situation, you notice what happened here is that now you're desperate to get the deal.
Yeah.
It's hard, right? So you have to talk to the end buyer, say, hey, the seller's not ready yet. Can I let you know when they're ready?
I told him,
You
like,
know.
he's going out cutting firewood. He's off grid. It's fine. He seemed to accept that, so they're fine with it.
Yeah, so they're fine with it. Yeah, I know. So it's a tough position to be in. Very tough
If it's a
position.
good enough deal, the end buyer will probably buy it even if it's.
The other thing you can do is that your offer, usually when we write an offer, it expires at a certain date. So we usually give it 7 days, 3 days, depending on how good the offer is. So if you have it in writing, you can email it to him, say, I checked the offer, it expires on February 10th. So please let me know ASAP. And that could help a sense of urgency as well, because people will operate on deadlines.
Okay.
Yep.
So just like send them DocuSign.
Yep.
Document.
Yep. And then once the 10th happens, you can withdraw it and say, hey, it's no longer good. The offer is now $14,000 or whatever it is, right? Because the market changed. So that happens a lot. We've renegotiated a lot of deals because people waited too long. Say, hey, you waited 30 days, our offer expired. Our offer is now $25,000 less because the market changed, which is all true. It's not false. Interest rates went up. The market is softer now, and so we have to adjust accordingly. Otherwise, we lose money. We're not a charity. We're a business. I remind them of that, and we have to make money. If we don't, there's no point in us talking, right? All right. Great question, though. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Any other questions? No other questions? So you guys like the topic? Like the examples? Great. So I'm going to post it on Facebook, okay? All right, good stuff. So speaking of Facebook, please make sure you go to our Facebook page, like it, follow it, because we'll be posting new content there very, very soon. And we can have a lot of great stuff there for free that you guys can target and like. Next month, we will be talking about wholesaling. March the 8th at 7 p.m., same place, all right, here. And same time, 7 p.m. on March the 8th, we'll be talking about wholesaling. So with that, guys, it's time to finish the presentation. We're going to network now, get to know one another, and hopefully we can do some deals together in this group, okay? So with that, thank you very much. We'll see you guys later.